Schmasics, 3x to the negative third versus the product 3x to the negative third. Different problems, okay? When you have the product of two expressions like this, you really have no choice but to handle them separately, okay? So, by the way, the instructions here would say simplify, the most ambiguous term in math, okay? With respect to exponents, what it means to simplify is to rewrite the expression with no negative exponents, okay? So, we have the number 3 is just 3. It's not being raised to any power. It's just plain old 3. But that's being multiplied by 1 over x cubed. If you remember from negative exponents, these two expressions are equivalent. So all we have to do is do the multiplication. You wouldn't leave these separate. It's not 3 times 1 over x cubed. You want to always write your answer as a single fraction, okay? So that's another piece of simplification. If it asks you to simplify, yeah, it's saying no negative exponents, but also write your answer as one single fraction. 3 times 1 over x cubed is just 3 over x cubed. Sorry, I had to write that kind of small, but 3 over x cubed would be the answer. And hopefully the idea is that you won't even need to show this middle step. You know, this is kind of a more basic problem. You should know that if you just have a string of factors written like this, whatever factors have a negative exponent, well, they're going to go in the denominator of a fraction with the positive exponent. The 3 is like 3 to the positive 1. That'll go on the top. 3 over x cubed. As opposed to this guy, which you could, because you have a product to a power, you could do this. You could write 3 to the negative third, x to the negative third, and then turn them both into fractions and do the multiplying. That's okay. That's not the easiest way. I would personally, when I have an entire problem to a negative power, I generally like to write this as 1 over that base to the positive third. Just apply the rule of negative exponents to the entire problem. When you have an entire expression to a negative power, I would do that, okay? And then just evaluate what is 3x to the third, or not evaluate, but simplify or do the cubing. 3x to the positive third, well, 3 to the third is 27, and then you just have x to the third. So that's your answer, 1 over 27x to the third, okay? A lot of problems with exponents involve some personal preferences, okay? And it's totally up to you. I mean, again, you could have, like the original way I did this is totally correct, 3 to the negative third, x to the negative third, and then simplifying them separately. But just my personal preference, what I found is that when you have an entire problem to a negative power, I would write it like this as my first step, okay? Now, the next problem. Let me erase this to give us a little more breathing room. This answer, again, was, I'll leave the answer, it was just 3 over x cubed, as opposed to this one, which is totally different, right? Problem 2 is not the entire problem to a negative power. So what I would not do in this case is turn this guy into a fraction. This is just negative 2 over x, right? The x to the negative 1 is like 1 over x. So this will become negative 2 over x times this. Don't do it. I wouldn't do that because what's going to happen often is that the negative exponents will kind of take care of themselves if there are other x's in the problem here. That's going to end up being an x squared, so the negative exponent is going to go away, as you'll see in just a minute, okay? So I would only write negative exponents as fractions to start if the entire expression is to a negative power. That was my first step. Otherwise, I wouldn't do anything. I would leave this as negative 2 x to the negative 1. Now, 4x to the second, okay, 4 squared is 16 times x squared. Don't forget to raise the 4 to that power also. All right? And now, with there no more parentheses, that's a good thing, we just do the multiplying. First of all, multiply the coefficients. Negative 2 times 16 is negative 32. Don't make a mistake and think that you add them. Coefficients are just plain old numbers. There's no special rules. Negative 2 times 16 is negative 32. Because we're multiplying expressions containing exponents, then we add the exponents, right? X to the negative 1 times x to the second. What is negative 1 plus 2? Negative 1 plus 2 is 1. So we have x to the 1, which is just x. So that's our answer, negative 32x. Okay? I have 6 minutes left in this free period. That's enough time to do one more example. Why not? Hello. That's the problem. Okay. This entire expression is to the negative second power. So again, you've got really two options. One is to make sure that every one of these, like negative 4 is to the negative second, x to the negative 1 is to the negative second. Here you would multiply, you get x squared. Now this is y to the negative 4th, and this is z to the positive 6th, and then take care of each one separately. I don't do it that way. That's not wrong, okay? But now you'd have to handle this as a fraction, this as a fraction. It's a little bit more work, in my opinion, than starting by writing the entire expression as 1 over that exact same ugly, messy, terrible base, but now instead of the negative 2, it's to the positive 2. I would do that first, but it's personal preference. All right, from here, we just have to raise everything here to the second power. So 1 over negative 4 squared is positive 16. Be careful with that. If you're using a calculator, parenthesize the negative 4, okay? X to the negative 1 to the positive 2. Negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. So we'll have x to the negative second down there, which is going to be a problem. And this is going to be y to the 4th, which is not a problem. And then z to the negative 6th, which is a problem. We can't have negative exponents in our answer. So that's the only problem we have left to handle. The 16 and the y to the 4th are going to stay down there. Nothing we can do about that. Do I have room to write over here? Yeah. But the others, what's going to happen is this x to the negative second is going to become an x squared on the top, okay? And the z to the negative 6th is going to become a z to the 6th on the top, okay? I'll go over the reasons for that in class, but just know, guys, sometimes it's kind of just nice to, really with these problems, not to strain yourself too much on the y's, not the y, but the y's, but really just know that if there's no addition or subtraction, which in this case, in this class, there usually will not be addition or subtraction, then if a factor has a negative power, just bring it to the other side of the fraction, and make it positive power, all right? The y to the 4th, got to stay down there, but this guy becomes x squared on top, z to the 6th on top. That's the answer, all right? Have a really nice day.